Salutations everyone, this is Razor bringing you guys some more Overwatch gameplay here. I'm going to be talking about your boy Reaper, everyone's ex-favorite edgelord, because he's not a character you really see very much anymore. You know, back in the beta and the early days of the game, Reaper was like one of the first characters off the board. You know, people thought he was really cool, you know, he used shotguns, pretty easy character to use, great ultimate. People would teleport up high, drop down Death Blossom, and kill all the things. Not so much anymore. Oh, with the advent of triple tank, kind of like didn't do so well in that lineup. D.Va's defense matrix would get all up in his face, but there's been quite a few changes since then. And in solo queue especially, I feel like Reaper's impact is such a strong hidden one that you don't see very many people really capitalize on anymore. And this game, as you can see, this is not the very beginning of the match. We're down 0-2, and I was using Tracer in the first 2 rounds. I went 11-5, and you know, this Mercy wasn't dying. The Winston was getting all up on us, so I was like, you know what? I'm making the switch to Reaper, and it ends up working out here. We go down 0-2, but we come back and win 3-0, and I go 60-6 with Reaper in just 3 rounds. So as you can see, I'm already on fire doing what I do. I make a few mistakes here and there. That was an over-aggression going after that Mei. I'm over-aggressive at another time I Death Blossom at the wrong time. So it's not perfect gameplay, but I think it gives you guys really good examples of how Reaper can and should be played. As we Death Blossom right here, take out that Mercy and that Bastion, so they're no longer a problem, a very common problem, the Mercy Bastion combo. Even after Bastion was brought back to Earth just a little bit, he is still insanely strong. So there are 2 main ways that you can play Reaper, whether playing alone or, you know, with some friends. Either you do the hide and pounce play style, especially because of Mercy is so prevalent in matchmaking. Mercy is everywhere. Mercy, I feel like, at least in solo queue, you know, even in the higher levels of competitive, is the only character that you can really carry with, because, you know, she's got res and she can keep multiple people alive for the entirety of the game, and she can fly around. She's very hard to kill at times. Like, you know, she's got high mobility, you know, with the Pharah being such a huge part of the meta right now. You see a lot more pharmacy than even you did at the beginning of the game, where, you know, pharmacy was like almost a lock-in, you know. But with the way that team comps have gone, we see less D.Va, so you don't have to worry about as much defense matrix in your face. And this was actually right after the Mercy buff came out with her ult, so I wasn't used to her invulnerability there. So that was a big mistake on my part, as I get freaking killed by a Mercy with her Caduceus gun. So once again, not perfect gameplay, but we have another Death Blossom, and let's see if we can utilize it to start this comeback trail. So the thing that sets Reaper apart, the thing that makes him just so good, especially in solo queue matchmaking, is that people don't account for a Reaper. You know, there's a few characters I think that can make this impact. It's a Tracer in the back line where nobody's paying attention to her and they're all getting killed by her, but she's so fast that they get frustrated and don't even go after her. And here we get the Death Blossom 1-2, and we get ulted. I heard our D.Va ulting, so when I saw that mech exploding, I thought it was ours, but the other one like ulted almost at the same time, so I got a bit confused. So a Tracer in the backline can make a big impact. A Mei, you know, even we've seen her popularity kind of go up and down, even though there's been really only one change to her, and that was the insane buff to her ult, and then the small, you know, little nerf to it. So, you know, a Mei walling people off, isolating tanks, you know, freezing people down. And I would say the third one would probably be Pharah, just because, you know, if you're really nimble in the air, you can become a very hard target to hit. So people either won't try to pay attention to you just because they feel like that's not a fight they can win, and, you know, if you're a Reaper, there's very little you can do against the Pharah. You know, it's doable, especially if she comes in the ground, or if you teleport on high and you catch her when she's, you know, hovering in place for too long. But, you know, Pharah gives you that other angle of attack. You know, you have to look into the air, and if you're not focus firing, or if you don't have, you know, very good hit scans like McCree or Soldier, you know, nailing her down, then she can just wreak havoc all by herself. Reaper can do that with his high amount of power to just instantly delete characters, instantly delete Lucios if they aren't, you know, wall riding all over the gaff, instantly delete a Soldier if he's not looking at you with Helix Rocket and getting a headshot. If, you know, the Mercy is out there, she's way too nimble at times for a Tracer and maybe a Genji, unless you're like super experienced and you time everything properly. Reaper all has to do is get up in her face and fire like 2 to 4 times and she's gone, and we get the Death Blossom right there for the triple kill, and then we clean up that Reaper. We get the achievement for some reason as we finish off the Winston, even though I only killed 3 with that Death Blossom. I've killed 4 before and didn't get the achievement, so I feel like this was warranted. But yeah, anyways, moving on to the second round. Death Blossom is, of course, insanely good. Still, if you can utilize it properly. Way too many people just say, oh, I'm just going to teleport and I'm going to drop in between the group, or most often, the biggest reason we see Death Blossom not have a big impact is the panic ult. The panic Death Blossom, they think that that can instantly destroy, you know, a Tracer or, you know, a Soldier or somebody that's right in front of them and they're low level or low health, and they think, oh, Death Blossom will cure that, and it just won't, especially if they're not right up in their face. So, you know, a Lucio can hammer you down with his increased power. And obviously, one of the big reasons to pick Reaper is when the enemy team has a Winston. There's still not much that Winston can do. You know, he can have all of his little electrical doohingies hitting Reaper, and Reaper just has to pop a couple, not even in his giant head hitbox, which is still rather big. Obviously, they fixed the whole elbow hitbox when they were supposed to decrease the size of Winston's head hitbox, but Reaper can absolutely take out Winston's. And, you know, even though Winston has become, you know, a bit more of a meta pick in the dive comp era, you still don't see a ton of him, you know, in matchmaking or in solo queue. So he's not going to be, you know, that big of a problem. But if you see a Winston get a bit too big for his britches, then Reaper's one who can take him down very easily. And one of the biggest impacts that Reaper can have, obviously you can play him, you know, hide and pounce or be behind your tank, whether that be your Reinhardt or your Diva or, you know, Azaria. You just go behind them and you just fire at whatever they're going after, and that can make things very, very difficult. That was my bad ult situation right there. Shouldn't have done it with the Winston bubble right there, but I just really wanted to take care of the Mercy, and if I could take care of the Mercy, it would have gotten the Winston as well. But bit off more than I could chew there here with the Edgelord. And depending on how you want to play Reaper, one of the biggest impact that he can make is just winning those duels, those single target duels, especially against healers. If you can eliminate the Ana or the Lucio, or especially the Mercy, who I'll time and time again tell you, in matchmaking has the biggest impact than any other character, you know, at the non-top levels of the game, as this Reaper goes for the Death Blossom at the wrong time, and I just wraith out of there, and he gets taken care of by the Diva. So, and obviously even with Diva, you know, with her defense matrix being such a problem, you know, completely eliminating the Death Blossom or, you know, your dual shotgun approach, as long as, you know, you can even be spread out. You don't, one of the great things about using Reaper or Mei, or, you know, less so Mei, but be using Reaper or Pharah, or, you know, some of your flanker characters like Genji or Tracer, is that communication isn't super duper necessary. And if you can isolate the Mercy, if she isolates herself, that's an instant kill right there. And if Lucio doesn't have a wall, all he's doing is just jumping and still getting hit by your shotgun pellets. So if you're playing by yourself, if you're playing as just a duo or a trio, or, you know, whatever the situation may be, and he works on a lot of maps. There's some maps he's not so great for. If you're trying to move the payload, he's not the best for that situation, as we get ourselves another deleted Mercy and get all these nice healthy little orbs to keep ourselves alive. You don't have to worry as much about, you know, healers healing you, because as long as you get kills, you're getting those orbs and you're healing yourself. And when it comes to, you know, being on the objective, you know, especially for, you know, these 2 CPs or King of the Hills, Reaper is going to have, you know, little spaces like this where it's going to be close quarters, where he's pretty much always going to have the advantage. And I don't know if it's because of Reaper's lack of attention in the competitive scene, why we don't see as many Reapers in matchmaking as we do, or people are just more interested in doing more flashy things, or if they're more interested in healing or more interested in, you know, Roadhog hooking. You know, even Reaper can dole out enough damage to take out a Roadhog. Most of the times you're going to need Death Blossom to do it, especially if he's just healing through all the things, as Roadhogs tend to do. But just the amount of damage that Reaper can deal up close, especially with headshots. And see, this is one of the instances where Lucio is kind of a bit harder when he's got, you know, a wall to run on, but we end up getting the job done. As long as you can, you know, swat that fly off of that wall, then you're gonna have a good time. And when it comes to Reaper's responsibilities, if you're not going behind your enemy tank, your friendly tanks, and, you know, just going head on what their targets might be, I wouldn't say that it's your responsibility to take on the enemy healers but it's definitely one of the things that you're very well suited to do, especially if it's an Ana in the back line where she's kind of, you know, all by herself. Unless she can get the trank on Reaper, or a really good time to nade to where it heals herself and hurts Reaper, then she can be very easy target to take care of. You know, if she's just sniping from behind, healing her tanks, and she doesn't have anybody supporting her, then she's a very easy target for Reaper. Mercy, you know, if she's, unless she's farmersing all over the place, then she's going to be a pretty easy target as well. Zaryas, if they don't have their bubble, are fodder for Reaper, even if she does have a very good high charge on her particle rifle. And Lucio's, as I mentioned before, if they don't have any walls to run on, there's not really a way that they can escape Reaper without their speed boost. And here's another good Death Blossom. We take care of all the problems there, take care of both of their healers and the Bastion, and clean up on this Sombra right here. We don't need to get healed ourselves. Stay away from the beam while she's got the bubble up, and then finish her off as she runs into those rando Symmetra turrets that my teammate put up for some reason. So you could say it's Reaper's responsibility to take out some healers when they're alone, or take out a Zarya, or, you know, at least help a teammate. Once Zarya is engaged, that bubble isn't going to last her very long, and if she doesn't have a teammate in very close proximity to bubble and she can hide behind, then Reaper is an easy way to delete those Zaryas. And if there is an enemy Reaper, then Reaper, if you can get the jump on him, is going to win that fight, because you're going to be dealing the same amount of damage. You're most likely all going to be hitting all of your shots. So, you know, obviously if you start the encounter and land the headshot first before he can turn around and shoot you back, then you're most likely going to win that duel and just take an enemy DPS out of the equation, as we end the game and the reverse 3-0 comeback there with a 21 kill streak with the Reaper. And you know we get in play of the game as well. That's just what we're going to do. So use Reaper. He's a pick that not many people account for. They don't try to counter him like he was just able. People were just able to do just by sheer coincidence of the way that you know, the matchmaking and the meta was at that time. As we get 76% kill participation, 11 of those kills and 5 of those deaths were with Tracer. But once we made the switch, Mercy was getting deleted, Lucio was getting taken care of, and we were able to do a ton of damage on the Winston and at times the Diva, and really made the difference. That switch made the difference as I go 60 and 6 here with the Reaper on the reverse 3-0. Let me know what you guys think about this man, as he's not getting picked very much, but he can make a huge impact in matchmaking, and especially solo queue, where other heroes just aren't making anymore.